Thank you very much. It is the output of a lot of hard work to achieve a vision that makes our market much more attractive, diverse, credible, responsible, and most importantly, sustainable. Sustainability, as you know, is key to the success of any market or venture, and we firmly believe in the immense value to the Nigerian capital market that can be derived from the development of green bonds. Green bonds offer a credible vehicle through which environmental, economic, and social impact, the three pillars of sustainability, are infused into our market, creating possibilities for infrastructure development, housing, job creation, a cleaner environment, and so on. And ultimately, delivering on the hope of Nigerians for a brighter future, and I will add prosperity. As the federal government of Nigeria through the DMO showed last year, with the first ever green bond issuance, green bonds can work in Nigeria. In March, when we were in London, and Justin was talking about Nigeria having issued green bond, it was a paradox to some people, wondering how Nigeria, with activity in oil and gas, could issue a green bond. But that's what we're about this week, to launch the green bond market in Nigeria. The green bonds can work in Nigeria, and the essence of the program is to achieve the scale amongst all classes of issuers so that we have a deep market. You can imagine, and I think the opportunities are there in Nigeria because we haven't done a lot in infrastructure and housing. So you can imagine greenhouses. We have to build houses today. We can make almost everything green. We need the support of the federal government and the state governments, but the private sector has to do a lot. As the original facilitators, FMDQ, Climate Bonds Initiative, and FSD Africa, I haven't had the opportunity of asking Evans, where's Evans, if he thinks they too have a great partner. But 2 weeks ago, I was in Nairobi with FSDA to see if we can kickstart FMDQ Kenya, and I believe they can. As the original facilitators, the three of us, the three institutions, are committed to a full program of capacity development and support for the Nigerian market in many ways. It is time to engage the entire team, which includes all the stakeholders in this room, yourselves, the market, and everyone to fashion the way forward in developing our market, part of which will be achieved through discussions at this session. As intermediaries in this market, it is extremely important that we firstly understand the requirements for issuances, and secondly, commit to putting in the rigor and attention required to ensure the inevitable success of the Nigerian green bond market and making it another mark of pride to the nation and source of attraction for players in the global market. I'd like to round up. And as I do that, I wish you all a fantastic learning experience from today's session, and one that you build on as we all apply what we learned today to create the right products and programs to a successful green bond market in Nigeria.
Essentially, this Nigerian green bond market development program is it's come from a partnership of three institutions, so FMDQ, Climate Bonds Initiative, and Financial Sector Deepening Africa, FSD Africa. So what we have done is these three institutions have come together to partner, and essentially the mandate is to develop the green bond market in Nigeria. But when we talk about green bond market, we're talking about the non-sovereign side. Because, I mean, if you remember, there was a sovereign issue last year. But, of course, we know that to develop this market, it's not only the sovereign. So we obviously have to see what we can do on the non-sovereign side of things. And as the principle, the idea of green bonds in Nigeria is still in its nascent stages. So we are, the idea of the partnership is to try and develop that. So that goes from awareness, education, to looking for developing a pipeline for green issues, and even getting the investors involved. It's a whole bunch of things, ensuring that they're able to train verifiers of what is actually green, so that what the securities issued or the bonds issued would be green. But it's not only so much bonds, but it's maybe like green finance in general, and not necessarily only the bonds.
So who are you targeting here? The domestic investors, whether institutional or retail, or the foreign portfolio investors?
So we're certainly targeting the domestic market, but again, it's a combination. And the idea is, if you look at the total, maybe the global assets under management, it's like 100 trillion, and a very, very small percentage of that is into like green finance, so, and the idea is to try and increase that that value. So yes, definitely the global markets and looking at the domestics. Now, as I said, in Nigeria, it's something that we're still learning and trying to understand and trying to develop, to get ourselves to obviously a place where we'll be one of the bigger players in the market, at least in the developing markets.
Do we have any timeline you're looking at floating the first set of securities?
Well, that is something that's in progress. Again, you'd have to work with all the different stakeholders in the market, from the intermediaries, and as you know, we're having an intermediaries roundtable as we speak now on, educating and trying to let people understand what this is about. So the work around that is happening. The good thing is the sovereign, again, has issued. And usually what happens is when the sovereign issues, that paves the way for the rest of the market. And it's just getting people to sort of understand, what this is about and seeing how they can contribute to that. If you look at some of the projects, I mean, Nigeria is a fantastic candidate for green projects, so it's really a matter of steering people along the right path for us to be able to do that. Now, I don't see necessarily this being a very long-term thing, but the program is a 3-year program. Now, we're not saying that in 3 years everything will be sorted, but we believe that 3 years is probably sufficient time to be able to put us in a position, us, when I say us, I mean Nigeria, in a position where green finance is becoming the order of the day.
That's Tumi Sekoni, Associate Executive Director in charge of capital markets at FMDQ OTC, speaking with Channels Television, Temple Ashaju, business producer here. Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll get back to getting that latest alcoholic tariffs higher and looking at the listed brewers on our market. That's right after the break.